let the bodies hit the floor. Uprising Academy at 95%.
Right now with Hydra building up to this Bear Barrage so quickly.
Oh!
And asking!
Double kill in the back with the pulse bomb from the high ground. Aerial assault with that mine.
Impact se escucha debajo gritar campeón a Sky Foxes.
Holy cow.
And after 42 consecutive losses, the Shanghai Dragons get their first win.
8 teams enter this weekend.
Oh no, Reinhardt, what are you doing?
We've got a clip with minimal information. It's time to break it down. Speed, 25%. Go, figure out what this man's SR is.
Keep fighting till it's for sure lost. Winnable!
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Overwatch Contenders Trials North America Day 2. We're here in Group B with Cratos versus Revival. I'm Paul, pleased to be joined by Paul Civil. And man, I am so excited for today's game.
Oh, today's we finally get the double Paul going on in here.
Finally.
I mean, we need a better name for it, but you know, that's something we can brainstorm later because we got to jump into this pretty quick. We had some tech issues. The game starting up a little late here. Sorry for that, folks, but now we're going to get into it.
Yeah, and this is going to be a super exciting one. So this is going to be the only game that we're going to be showing today in Group B, which is obviously starting now. Group A will be starting at 7 o'clock. So that game will be coming up in just a little bit. But this will be the only one here. And I mean, we saw Cratos yesterday have an awesome game against Last Hope. And today, I think we're expecting a far more competitive match.
Yeah, today is going to be for a lot of the marbles. I'm not going to say all of them. There's still a whole week of contenders trials ahead of us, right? But today is going to be pretty important because both these teams, I think, can really make a shot at making it to Contenders Actual next week, especially since Team Doge have forfeited their trials spot, right? You know, coming into this week, we probably expected Team Doge to be one of the 2 teams making it back. Now, it's pretty much anybody's game, and we're going to roll straight into Lijiang Tower pretty quickly here. But before we do that, let's quick take a look at these teams because, like you said, Paul, they are baller.
Yeah, and coming into today, so Borkin, NA player 100, how we will be referring to him throughout the broadcast, is playing on main tank, not Cedro. They did have a fill-in yesterday of Light on DPS. He was just ringing. We're back to our normal lineup otherwise for them today. And for Revival, pretty much what you would expect. Fact Fiction is starting for them. So we're really, really strong roster.
Round 1. Capture the objective.
Ahorita regreso.
Finishing them
This will heal. Adaptive circuits engaged. Reinhardt.
You better get out of the way!
Apagando las luces. I'm on fire.
Komm, ist noch nicht vorbei.
Back off.
Amongst the best of them. Beautiful primal there. Sets up the team. And duplicate too. This EMP can get pretty nasty, so you gotta play around with this if you are revival.
Hasn't used it yet. Well, it would fight back fiction. Follow up there with the coalescence perfect. Able to get the point back at now. But they're coming back in a hurry here. Now that back fiction is res. We see the grind spark continue. Now that Dynasty is on that Reinhardt. Back fiction they're going to have to find a way to pull point off Cratos.
Ultimate Web is actually quietly a savior of Cratos right now. Not only the EMP, but the hacks consistently onto Dynasty there, while Dynasty had duplicated that Reinhardt. Delayed a potentially round-winning Earth Shatter for Dynasty for so long until most of Revival was already in the ground. So I gotta keep my eye on Ultimo Web. He had a great day on Sombra yesterday, despite his DPS duo being a ringer yesterday. Now Default's actually there, giving him the necessary support. Good first round for Cratos. Gonna move on to Gardens now, which is much better for the dive that Revival seem to be favoring. Fact Fiction potentially going over to the Wrecking Ball too, so a lot of chaos, a lot of disruption going to be coming out of Revival here, and Dynasty is going to be a very difficult person to contend with for Revival as we move on to Garden. It has a lot more headspace to work with on this Echo now. Is going to be a menace in theory.
Fact Fiction on the Hammond this time. We're going to see what they're able to put together. Kratos first one on the spot here. And just be posturing on a Garden variety 6-on-5, but nothing quite yet. We're going to see the spin and ball come out, but Kratos sort of just happy to stay in this little ball formation, not move around, and kind of just dare Revival to move in.
Yeah, it's just like they were doing on Night Market, and these anti-nates from Moser haven't been hitting. That's really the catalyst for an actual fight for Revival. Now, Coalescence is out. Kratos just get
Fire's going to find both supports. Their default going to be able to just follow up. And just like that, Revival, adios. Kratos finding first cap.
Kratos are actually putting on the next God of War sequel in this lobby right now. They are dumpstering the team, coached by gods, haha. And with Ultimo Web having an EMP, it's hard to imagine this next fight actually goes the way of Revival. Potentially with this Nano, you could have Fact Fiction or Cowman tank a lot of the damage after the EMP comes out, but Carrots is still pretty far from that. Sound Barrier, Track is just now working up to an EMP of his own. It's a rough one for Revival.
Ooh, and that losing off the bat, no Track means no EMP going in. Ultimate Web has his if they're going to want to expend it, so both teams could have made investments, but that initial pick kind of made a stop to the proceedings from the get-go.
It's not quite over yet, though. I mean, you're still pushing on here if you're Revival, and there goes the Nano onto Dynasty. You deal a lot of damage on that Echo.
Oh, and any player going to find the pin here. Ultimate Web in a Sombra v Sombra duel, but any player 100 just popping off, just pushing forward, and we've seen them have so much success today and yesterday on that Reinhardt, and it's continuing here.
Yeah, Borkin locking it down, NA player 100. Same person for anyone who might be confused, but this has to be Revival's fight coming into this, right? Only a couple ultimates that aren't even quite up for Kratos yet that are going to contend with you, and you've got almost everything on the board if you are Revival. You gotta open up some space, but Kratos, they're not giving you time.
Probably didn't find anything with the bomb. Track for the EMP, able to find a few with it, but they're finding picks even on the sides of it. Track with a couple there. And fortunate for Revival, they're going to keep this one alive.
They keep it alive. It's pretty expensive, but there are a couple tools still available for Revival to hold on to this coming up. The one danger is that NA player 100 does have that Earth Shatter at the ready. There's no shields whatsoever available for Revival. They have to be so careful at what position they allow NA player 100 to get to, because nothing will stop that Earth Shatter. Dynasty doesn't even have the duplicate, so you can't even look to protect it with a duplicated Reinhardt shield, right? So you've got to use things like the self-destruct and the minefield to just keep Kratos at bay.
Oh, and the mines are all the way up in the air. I'm not even quite sure how that happened. So they're just hanging up top. They're not able to find anything with the bomb. And now Cratos is full steam ahead. Both support ults used. We hear some hacks, but nothing of consequence quite yet. Any player's going to be healed up, and they're just going to be able to stay formed together, try to get Dynasty and Track down before they get their ultimates here. Dynasty's back in spawn, and they need Track's EMP, or this one's going to get away from them.
They can't afford for it to get away, right? 83%. You have to make a call right now. Are you committing to this fight or not? EMP goes out.
Yeah, Fact Fiction able to find 6 feet, but will it be enough? Default's down next, and Ultimate Web does have an EMP of his own, but it looks like Cratos might want to look for a regroup here as they're starting to be taken down in the trickle.
Yeah, and with just Cry, the Baby Diva, staying on the objective right now, it should go for the full regroup. That was hanging on by a thread there from Revival, but they managed to hang on. That thread doesn't break, and now they are set up to potentially win this. As long as Carrots can avoid Ultimate hacks and EMP, this is going to be great for them. Fix going down early, too. This is such a rough spot for Cratos now. They have to rush in here. They don't have time to wait for Fix to get all the way back. NA player 100 is even going out of the Wrecking Balls just so he can touch.
He will activate overtime here. This is going to be for all the marbles. Revival trying to keep this map for themselves. Any player 100 finds a kill, but Revival with a couple. We're seeing just the Hammond doing Hammond things on point. I don't know if they have an answer here. Cowman going to have Bomb, going to be setting his eyes on support here for Cratos, and they just haven't found a way in. Track also just putting in the work and has his EMP now too.
Shout out to Dynasty, man. Not only did he get that duplicated sound barrier to keep his team in while Carrots was down, but then he got the nano and he helped clean up. I believe it was also Dynasty with that initial pick onto Fix as Cratos were coming back. So Dynasty, a monster on this Echo right now. And Echo isn't really a pick we saw too much of yesterday. So it's interesting that Dynasty has been able to make this work so well. You're not going to be seeing Echo here, though. We're moving on to Control Center. It is a low, low ceiling. Track is pulling out the J Silly. I'm excited for it. Into a rush composition like you're almost certainly going to see here coming out from Cratos, right? The Junkrat gets a lot of damage down, right? Whether you give up point or you go aggressive and hold the White Room, Track is going to be a menace on this Junkrat.
For anyone at home playing backseat team comps, we are on 1.5. 1.1 or 1.5 2.1, excuse me. This is Roadhog is still nerfed and Ashe is not, so just keep that in mind when you're thinking about maybe what teams should or should not be playing that Hog. Not as much of an option here. Dynasty trying to set up a pick. Chase Silly looking for something as well. They've got a lot of burst potential and damage, and they finally take down NA player 100 here. And Cowman just going to do the cleanup. Revival kind of slowing this fight through and going to be able to take point here shortly, it looks like.
Yeah, Revival played that fight really well, too. They wait up in White Room. They send Dynasty in a couple times to just keep Cratos on their toes while Track just pumps in the damage. Eventually, it's too much for NA player 100 to actually absorb, even with the Reinhardt shield and the bubbles trying to keep him up. Cry got a ton of charge. Don't get me wrong, is already sitting at the Graviton. This is going to be a quick fight from Cratos. Yep, they throw the grab.
Grab is used, but can NA player find some kills off of it? No, they don't even get the flame strike through it. Going in, trying to look for a shatter here, collides with Fact Fiction. And now they've got to keep him away. Coalescence is used, going to be into the grab. Ultimate Web did find Dynasty, so at least might open up a little bit of breathing room for them. Ultimate Web does have that EMP. Chase not able to find anything with it, and there's that EMP.
Yeah, EMP comes out, but Carrots already keeping great track of the enemy ultimates, uses that sound barrier, stabilizes Revival. They had a rough start to this map back on Night Market, but they are fully in it now. That was an expensive fight for Cratos. They're going to come back with nothing but the Death Blossom, really, to actually try and make this work. Default, he's going to need a Miracle Flank. He's going to need to catch Revival sleep in here if they actually want to make this fight happen. Dynasty does get spotted over on the side, so his flank's not going to work out. And actually, Default takes him down. That's a pretty good start.
That'll be huge. This is a 6-on-5. Now they're going to be able to start to push in. Dynasty would have been one of their ults up. Fact Fiction has the other. Ocho left with another kill, and they might be able to dry take this. That's a third. And Cratos with some momentum finally. It looks like they were falling off. cut out at the knees, but here they are, grappling point back just in time as Revival is going to cross 85%.
And actually, realistically, outside of Dynasty getting picked, I think that was a pretty good fight from both teams, right? Cratos, they get that first pick, they get onto the objective, but Revival, they play discipline, they play restrained. They don't throw in a bunch of ults just because they have them and they think they can win the team fight. They know, hey, we're at 87%, we just need to win this next fight, and now we've got so much to do it with.
Now we see Dynasty looking for a pick, not able to land it. Has the ultimate available here. We're going to see both grabs use. Dynasty with the Space Jam. Track answering up as well here. Revival, they need this one fight and probably can shut it away with if they can keep a stall back. Default tries, finds one, but it's not quite enough as Revival look to put this one away.
Desperation touch now for Cratos. They gotta get somebody to the objective. They don't really have much to work with either. 6 feet, about to be up to that sound barrier. If you can keep everybody alive, this can be a fight Cratos can take.
Shatter gonna put a number on Cowman. Default following up here. Now we're gonna see the beat drop, but they're gonna just try to dive in, but the beat drop to answer back now. Keep in mind, Default has been getting overcharged so quickly here. Able to take down Fact Fiction, and now Revival is on the run.
Ultimate Web, the man of the hour here. That EMP, I actually completely missed it somehow, but setting up for the fight, I should say. But the EMP undoubtedly saves Cratos there. But you throw in everything you have. You don't have Grav to hold this choke point aggressively. And with Track working up to this tire, with Moser having that coalescence, this is a fight Revival can get very aggressive in and have a strong advantage. Fix needs to be very careful. If he pops coalescence and then gets taken out by the tower or the tire, that's disaster.
There's that coalescence. Track up top. Here comes that tire we mentioned. It finds 3. It is massive. Revival just gonna have to do the cleanup work, janitorial duties, and they should be able to take Lijiang.
Junkrat, he has fallen out of the of pretty much any meta anywhere, but never mistake it. Control Center is still his playground. It's just stragglers for Cratos now. They're gonna have a nigh on impossible time actually making this happen, as they would need some miracle picks, and they're not exactly on the right characters for those. Good round from Revival. They're gonna start off their week correctly and get that first map. Revival having not played yesterday, that is. And they take that 1-0 lead against Cratos.
Yeah, really well played there. And I wanted to ask you this because we talked about this yesterday, Paul, where Cratos, they play so well playing aggressive. At one point, you're like, oh, maybe they should hang back. They jump forward, hyper aggressive, win that fight, and end up winning the round. But then the last two, it seemed like they just couldn't find their rhythm. Do you think they should go back to playing aggressive a little bit more? Or do you think just Revival is playing really well into them?
Sure, I think it's bit of column A, bit of column B, right? I don't think that Cratos is playing slow by any means. I actually think that they're taking fights as they theoretically should be. It's just right now, it's honestly very aggressive from both teams. It is chaos on the field. Controlled chaos, don't get me wrong. It's not sloppy Overwatch here, but it is very high tempo from both these teams, right? And the problem that Cratos ran into there is that if you play aggro, you're running straight into Junkrat, right? And if you don't play aggro, the Junkrat's just going to slowly wear you down, and Dynasty's going to come in and probably find somebody in your backline, right? So as we move on to Junkertown, this map is going to play completely differently, at least on paper, than Lijiang Tower did. So Cratos,
Ready for battle.
Beacon in place.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Stop the payload.
Here I am.
pooping it.
What a great call to run the Sigma there, too. You know they're on a rush comp. You know you can get the AoE with the Hyperspheres, right? He gets Gravitic Flux
That's
in
disgusting.
under 25 seconds. It's horrendous. And now it's just free push, right? That is worst case scenario for Cratos. Now they have to rush back to the cart. They've lost so much positioning. Dynasty's going to be on their flank. This is going horribly for Cratos right now.
Yeah, somebody called Guinness. That has to be close to a world record. Moser with a nice pick already there on the support, and I think they really would have been banking on Ultimate Weapon, but maybe trying to put something together now. They are boxed in. They at least have cart contested for now, but this res might be able to help Revival put this one over. The cleave is going to be so much from Fact Fiction at this point, and Ult is building up for everybody.
I gotta give Cratos a bit of credit there, actually. As Cratos was struggling in resources, they send Default out to contest the cart with the Wraith form. Now, they can actually rush out and try and take this fight. They're going into an EMP, though, and that's never a good sign.
Angry Monkey's got something to say about it. Dynasty and Fact Fiction taking over Revival. They're rolling right along as they please. Dynasty maybe didn't have to duplicate there, but they're going to secure this one and keep it rolling.
Well, and it doesn't really matter that Dynasty used the duplicate because you still got the Gravitic Flux for Cowman. So as Kratos probably rush out here, try to take one last desperate fight through this tiny doorway on the right-hand side, Cowman's just going to pop the Gravitic Flux.
Now the contest EMP out. Fact Fiction, though, just destroys Ultima Web, trying to move in. Beat drop, maybe give them some momentum, try to jump in, but Crowley's out of mech, bomb up. But not going to be able to find anybody here. They haven't challenged Revival supports either. They're just keeping everybody alive for now. Default, though, coming online, trying to put together something. Taken down, can't ult, had the Death Blossom, but to no avail here. And Kratos just cannot find a way to knock off this Revival pesky team here.
Well, and keep in mind, that they don't really care if they win these fights. Every pick they get stalls more time. It can be as scrappy as they want. When you're playing this rush comp, you're just stalling for time, and we're down to 1 minute. By all intents and purposes, this has worked well for Kratos despite a bit of a rough start. And now as they pop the Coalescence and the Death Blossom, they're just making it more expensive for Revival.
Default gonna end up just trading lives there. Dynasty gonna try to build up again. Now, keep in mind, Trex does have an EMP. They have an opportunity to use that and probably still have one more half fight at least. It looks like Revival kind of content to go for a bit of a soft reset.
Yeah, and they have to, right? Track is coming up to this EMP. That has to be the tool they use to actually shut this down. Good start. Gravitic Flux again from Cowman. Coming out. Ooh, great sound barrier, though.
Yep, sound barrier to counter back. Default did find Karis there. They'll only have Moser, who's getting pretty chunked down. No supports left for Revival here. Dynasty trying his best to find some kills, take out Fix, but it finally able to. Ultima Web, though, has been so pesky this round on the Tracer, and Kratos might just be able to save them off.
There's not really much here in terms of Kratos staying around, though. Okay, now their team has regrouped. Fact Fiction is going to get the touch. You need a miracle right now, Revival. You've lost so much time, even if you make this happen.
Post bomb wide, but Track taken down. Ultima Web looking for the one-on-one. Moser finds it. Oh, they're being just wiped aside here. Kratos formidable against the wall. Crowley does have that bomb, and they're just going to try to zone them out and keep it. But Fact Fiction looking for something. Cowman, God.
This is not shaping up well for Revival. They don't have anything left to actually eliminate people with.
Oh.
Dynasty needs a clutch now.
They touch.
No. Oh, no.
Only Echo Mercy, but if you touch, maybe, you know, there's a puncher's chance. But I love how you highlighted the plan all along. It seemed like Kratos invested early to, you know, and though they got through that gate quick, just continually burn the time, the bend don't break strategy, as we hear in American football. And then at the end, just they pulled it all together, man. They made it happen.
And I have to eat my words a little bit. You know, it's rare that we see a rush composition on Junkertown first actually able to get that full hold, right? Usually once they lose the first two fights and they move out into that open area, it's hard to actually make it work. But the adjustment comes in from Kratos. They move their tanks over to things like the Diva and the Wrecking Ball that fare a little bit better at that last stage of point A. Now they're going to come out on the double sniper. Man, that was There is so much that happened that round. I want to give credit to Cowman at the very least, but also to Ultima Web because
Oh yeah.
going way back, right? That fight should have gone to Revival, right? But middle of actually the second Cowman pops the Gravitic Flux, right? Ultima Web EMP'd him, right? Beautiful work. But then Cowman makes up for it, comes back, forces the sound barrier out of 6 feet so that Track's EMP wipes it from the team. That was supposed to be another time when Revival should have been able to clean it up, and they just struggled to put that final period on the end of the sentence. They're not going to change up their composition as they move to the defense, which is a bit of a risk here. They need to try and isolate Fix. He is the target right now. He's the one character in Kratos' comp that is the most vulnerable.
Kratos trying to even up the score in this series. Revival took lead John, making Kratos answer back. We both expect this to go the distance, and that journey would begin with a win here. Ultima Web just trying to get that ulti charge. Track already found NA player 100, so they don't have a shield moving forward here. It's probably on the Diva. Dynasty taken down, and with spawn advantage, they'll have the whole team back here shortly. Fact Fiction gone, and now Kratos have the tanks and some momentum to keep it rolling.
Yeah, credit where it's due to Fact Fiction and Cowman. They do a good job of juggling themselves on the cart, and Cowman covers for Fact Fiction pretty well. But once you've lost your DPS, there's nothing really stopping the enemy team from just rolling you over, especially when Fix applies that Discord Orb onto Fact Fiction. Now Fix already has the Transcendence. But Fix, what are you doing to these people? All right, I gotta say, Fix is an underrated flex support in this region. His Zenyatta is a monster, right? He frags like nobody else. Well, I won't say like nobody else, but he frags real hard, right? And although this is a pretty rough pick, Ultima Web not going to be able to use the EMP now. It should actually let Revival back in the door, assuming Track gets to the cart and uses EMP. Guys, it's rolling in.
Yeah, they're giving a lot. I was going to say, they are giving so much space here. They're knocking on the door. Bang, bang. Kratos is here, guys. For NA player 100 going in. The slam down. Fix fragging out. Unstoppable here. There's the EMP. Finds everybody. The bomb comes in. They've zoned them off. Kratos able to take Junkertown.
Wow. What a map from Kratos, man.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Can you play that any better? That ending was so perfectly executed.
Yeah, and, you know, Revival, as clean of a first map as they had, I feel like there were a lot of fights where they had the necessary tools to clean them up, the necessary tools to actually shut Kratos down, right? Even in that very last fight, Track had the EMP, and they're worried about the one individual who's pushed forward further than the rest of the team, right? Just go to the cart, EMP the cart, get yourself set back up. You can take a potentially 1-for-1 trade. And yeah, somebody in your backline is scary, especially since I think it was probably default, and a Reaper in your backline is obviously not what you want to have happen there. So Revival, they're kept on their toes a lot, and that's what Kratos did really well that map, honestly. Revival, anytime they had a plan, or at least had the opportunity for a plan, I should say, Kratos come in and they say, hey, what if we just threw this wrench in your plan? And every time it seemed Revival was unable to deal with that wrench in the gears of their machinations. Great work from Kratos, and we're tied up 1-1.
Yeah, this is as good a series as it's going to get. I mean, we expect it to go the distance. We've seen both teams look phenomenal in moments, but who's going to pull away when it matters most? We're going to cut to a short break, and then we'll be back to find out with map number 3. We'll see you soon.
So you queue up for Overwatch Ranked, only to be greeted by this, which then leads to this, and oh no, Reinhardt, what are you doing? The solution? Elo Hell pickup games.
Hey, you know what? Just
Oh my god, it's huge! Oh no! Kill! Let's go!
Open to players of all ranks and most platforms, Pugs give you the chance to experience competitive Overwatch as it was meant to be played, competitively.
I need help.
I'm with you.
Shoot.
No way, dude.
Go. Let's go. Nice. Good call.
Players set their icons to indicate the role they want to play, then 2 captains pick their teammates and draft the most competitive teams they can. You can also take part in our pioneering learning event, Coached Pugs. To take part, Join the ELO Hell Pickup Games Discord, and be sure to read the Pug Guide and FAQ. Good luck, have fun, and we'll see you in-game.
Welcome back, everyone. Overwatch Contenders Trials North America Day 2 action. We're in Group B with Cratos and Revival. I'm Paul. Please be joined by Possible once again here. And man, what a series we're off to. But I know we got kind of rushed at the beginning with some tech issues, and we want to take a step back, check out those standings for this group, and see what's coming up this week.
Well, yeah, and not just the tech issues, but like we jumped from map 1 to map 2. It has been go, 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 go. Even in all of these fights, right? These teams have not been taking any downtime, right? So the story of this series is we have our foot all the way onto the gas. Actually, it's not even our foot. They've just thrown a brick onto the gas pedal. So let's take a step back. Let's take a breath and look at this series, look at this group, right? Because for anybody who might just be tuning in for the first time this week, Team Doge, who was supposed to be in this group, did end up relinquishing their spot. They are not going to be playing in this week by their own decision. So that means there's 5 teams, 2 of which will go to Contenders, 2 of which will stay in Trials, and then we'll see them again in the month of November, and then 1 who will be relegated to Open Division, right? And I hate to throw this on Last Hope, but they're probably going to be the team that's relegated to Open Division. If I'm being honest when it comes to this group, because it is just such a stacked group, right? And if we're talking the other 2 spots, right, the 2 that everybody's fighting for, it could go to almost anybody. in this group. Revival, Cratos, Susanoo, and Infamous. They are all punching at a very high level. So this match has such stakes for both Cratos and Revival, because if you win it, you're in a great spot to grab one of those two contender spots. If you don't, you're hurting.
And going into this game 3 here on Temple of Anubis, we are all tied up. We saw Revival come out strong, coming back with the reverse sweep on Li Zhang, and then Cratos was just able to hold really strong there on Junkertown. They looked phenomenal with that final play. Revival just never found their footing quite on Junkertown. As we're going to get ready for Anubis here, what do you think we can expect between the teams here, Paul?
Well, Cratos, I got to give them credit. They have been playing with the tempo of this match very well. They have been pretty much dictating what the tempo of the match is, right? And, you know, tempo is kind of a word a lot of people throw around in Overwatch, and you ask people, you'll get a billion different answers as to what it actually means, right? But what I'm talking about is when they actually decide to take fights versus just stalling out time. We saw it way back on Night Market where we started the series off. And we also saw it a lot on Junkertown, right? On their defense, despite playing what you consider an aggressive composition in the Rhine, well, I guess Rhine Diva rush, right? Where you're running the Lucio, the Moira, you just want to go up and fight. Despite that, they just peel back, they turtle up. It's like back in like Days of Goats where people used to run Mei and use the igloo strat, right? That's what Cratos were doing. And then when they actually got to their attack, they just, once again, foot on the gas, full steam ahead, and really caught Revival off guard, not once, but a couple of times. And they've been catching Revival off guard in a lot of these team fights. So I want to see Revival kind of put their foot down and say, hey, you can't mess with us like this.
Now we'll see what Cratos is able to put together. Moser takes an ultimate weapon just to get things started in a blink of an eye here. Now we start to see Cowman try to find a way in. We've seen him on really a variety of heroes already here, but this time opting for the Diva and this dive comp. Revival just kind of having their way right now, pushing Cratos back.
Cratos, they don't lose anybody on that engage though, so they can actually come back in. Ultimate Whip's going to be back too, so if he can grab a hack, it already goes on a Cowman. That's so much peel out the window.
Now we see the turn here from Cratos, driving Revival back to the hills here, back to spawn. Able to hold them out, and with just under a minute though, but that was, all things considered, I mean, Cratos don't even give up a tick there, don't invest really anything. They have to be happy at least and pull that out.
Yeah, Ultimate Web giveth, he also taketh away. He dies there, lets Revival in the door, but then he also comes back, gets a beautiful hack onto Cowman, who is just sitting out of mech. So Cratos is going to have to wait for that to come back up. Once it is back up, they are going to have that duplicate to work with, though. So this can be a good fight.
Coalescence already popped here by Fakes, able to take down 2 here. And they're already close to beat, so they're going to have a lot at their disposal here. Default taking over as well. His Reaper's been fantastic so far.
And there it is from Cratos. Yeah, from Cratos yet again, right? They, once again, as Revival are trying to set up, trying to find their opening, Cratos pulled the trigger first. They go in while Revival's not ready, and now with an EMP at the ready, I mean, actually almost every single ult except the Coalescence at the ready, Cratos doesn't just like to lose.
EMP finding 3, nothing else used yet. Now we're seeing the double celebrate, double EMP. Gonna take everybody in the hack, but will it be enough here? Nothing off the back end of it now, is Cratos gonna try to surge forward. Duplication taken down here. And now we're seeing what they're able to put together. Diva Bomb not gonna land anybody. Dynasty gonna try to work their way onto point here. Cratos gonna try to just hold up, but it's kind of falling apart here.
Yeah, no, I mean, credits to Dynasty. He actually uses the duplicate to survive the self-destruct and keeps himself in this fight right now. I mean, Cratos is coming back. The Primal Rage is at the ready. You can still stall this for a good long while.
They're certainly going to try to contesting point. We do hear the rally here. Going to try to keep everybody up and alive. Ultimate Web so close to that EMP. If he can get it in time, maybe that's the way they swing the fight. But Revival going to say, look, you can try as you might. Everyone else is going to go down in the meantime, and they will get first point.
Yeah, the snowball is going to be pretty difficult for Revival here, but they're already actually pretty much on the second objective. If they can somehow deny Ultimate Weapon value out of this EMP, that should be a good start for them. They already get default away from that flank, but that's a 6-man EMP!
Everybody and the ante on top of it. Cratos phenomenally played. Bada bing, bada boom. They are gone.
Yeah, 1 ult to win a fight. That is optimal economy there from Cratos. And now, oh man, we can finally take a breath. This series is just going so fast here, Paul.
They're trying to make sure we don't. I think they just have, like, Cratos heard that I was going to be doing their game, good friend of the team, and they were like, you know what, screw this guy. We're making him work today in his debut.
All right, well, both self-destructs at the ready. 6 feet doesn't have an EMP to contend with, so you can use this sound barrier for tempo, but you might just have to use it to save NA player at 100, aka Borkin. Right now, Revival's struggling to find a way in. If they're not careful here, default, he's going to find a flank. He's going to find an opening with this Death Blossom.
Certainly looking for something. Fact Fiction going to go right at him. Not able to take him down. Now we're seeing Dynasty going to swap to the Reaper with his duplicate, trying to get that Death Blossom in time as he just pushes into spawn on the supports. No one's able to be on point. He's just going to be able to zone if he wants with this Death Blossom and Revival. At the last second are contested here on point, but have numbers. They hop away. No primal range on point, and they lose it. Revival able to take it.
I have to give huge props to 3 people on Revival for that fight. 1, whoever is in charge of tracking ultimates there for Revival. Don't know what their comm structure is like, but whoever it was knew that Death Blossom was the best chance that Cratos had to take that fight, and everything gets dumped into keeping default at bay. Fact Fiction goes over, keeps Cratos by the spawn, and then when he starts to get a little low, pops the primal. Completely bats default away from the rest of his team while they EMP and take the fight win. Then, once default actually comes back, has the nano and everything from Fix ready to decimate with the Death Blossom. Moser hits a beautiful sleep, prevents the value, prevents it from even being used while that nano is up. And yeah, default gets woken up, but it's already, the damage was done. Cowman was ready with the defense matrix to keep default at bay, and the second point ends up going to Revival. So Cratos, they whittled a lot of time off the clock. It's not uncommon that we see both caps happen, so I think they can be pretty happy with that defense, but now they need to take control of the game again like we saw on Junkertown, right? Keep Revival on their toes.
Can I just say again how good Cowman is? Because Cowman is unreal.
He's real dang good.
He's really, really good. But like you said, this is tough, but certainly not insurmountable on Temple of Anubis. And we're going to see them come out here with similar dive that I think we pretty much expected. Nothing crazy here.
No, it's that, and it's, you know, we call it dive, quote unquote, for Cratos. It's the rush dive, right? You're not running like a Zen or a Mercy. It's the Lucio. Everybody goes forward, and then if you really need to, you have abilities to get you out. But you really just are looking to chunk out the tank. Fact Fiction already getting the brunt of so much damage here, and this is an interesting rotation for Cratos, because they don't really have anyone who wants to sit up on this high ground, but it does give them access to the point. The problem is, once they get onto the objective, they don't really have a way to pressure Moser or Dynasty once they actually get out here. They're actually going to double back, I think. I think I saw Ultimate Weapon going around to the side, waiting to hack up, set up a hack.
Coalescence is tough. They're going to see if they can find something there. Haven't found any picks yet. Ultimate Weapon trying to find something. But right now, Cratos just could never find the angle in. Revival has got them between a rock and a hard place here. I'm going to force them back.
Yeah, that setup takes just a bit too long. Revival to get the read on what the plan was, and Ultimate Weapon, he hacks Carrots, who isn't a bad hack target, but the Brigida still gets a lot of value even when they're hacked. That being said, Revival have overpushed here.
DPS are down. Cratos calling Mazur asleep. Get in there. Jumping on. You see Default able to force the Diva Bomb to come out. No value there. Cowman couldn't get anything, and I don't know how Revival finds their way back in. They're going to have a tough time.
They got an EMP, though. If Track can get the better end of this EMP battle, that's Revival's in.
Ultima Web uses it first. Track following up here, able to find the supports at least, and Cowman. But we see here, Dynasty taken down, and now Cratos is set up, serving a difficult spot. Though they have the Coalescence, maybe we'll keep Crowley alive just enough. Trying to deal with Track, who's been so pesky so far here. And now Cratos trying to turn as a unit, but they just can't put the final tick percent together.
Oh, Cratos, they're gonna try though. Sound Barrier, self-destructive, both out, zoning away Revival, and it even gets Cowman's back.
Now Fact Fiction in trouble here with Baby Diva taken down. They gave me the same juke they gave you and Lee Jung. Just when we think they're gonna back off, they just like, you hear the war horn, they're on and they take it.
Man, Cratos, dude. Right now, they are playing with our hearts, Paul. It is quite scrappy, but they know their limits. They're gonna go in now. Not a whole lot to work with. NA player and has his primal, but the Death Blossom is a little bit anti-synergy in theory. So right now, NA player needs to isolate some members while Default goes crazy in the background.
He was able to zone off Fact Fiction there for a second, got anti really quick, so wasn't able to do quite what he wanted, but it might just be enough. They're not going to be able to touch it time narrowly to do on the backside of it. Track is on point. Now going to be down there. Look at that clean damage though from NA player 100, just so much of it. Fact Fiction gone, and they have an opportunity with ults in the bag to put this one away.
Self-destruct's out though. It's not quite done and dusted yet. This stall could go on for a while on Temple of Anubis.
Everyone's off point. We see the recontest now, and Cratos in a big way put the time up. They will have a 1 minute advantage.
Yeah, 1 minute and 4 seconds. And man, once again, as we move into the between rounds here, there's just so much happening that we don't have time to break down. So many micro plays, but I want to bring up Ultima Web again because yesterday and today, his Sombra has been phenomenal. Yeah, he got caught off early in this map, whatever. Didn't end up mattering. He came back and got the beautiful hack anyways, right? And although Cratos, you know, it was back and forth at the end of point A there, ultimately it was Ultima Web's EMP that gets their foot in the door there, right? He gets the necessary EMP, Fact Fiction gets bursted, and something else that I got to give Cratos credit for is they all seem to be on the same page, right? You can see the instant turns in these fights. There is no hesitation. These guys are trusting each other so heavily. In that last fight on point A, they turned to Carrots immediately, took him down. Then 6 Feet says, this is winnable, or somebody says it's winnable. 6 Feet throws out the sound barrier and the self-destruct goes forward right as the respawns come back. Kratos, they are so well drilled. They are so well composed right now. Gotta give him props.
5, 4,
So now we see who's ultimately able to take this map 3 and take a lead in this series. It has gone 1-1. We both fully expected to go the difference, but this could push one of them to map series point. And so coming out here, we see Cratos just up on this right-hand side. Dynasty already getting a bunch of charges.
Kratos going forward. They able to find anything. Hack onto Carrots. Interesting hack priority coming out right now from Ultima Web. That's the second time he's chosen to hack Carrots over anyone else there. And unless it was changed, I believe the Brigida still gets Inspire procs through the hacks there. So while the armor packs aren't useful, I mean, you can still push forward pretty easily here as Revival. And now Kratos, they're just trapped here.
Yeah, they're in the baby's in a corner here with no way out. Cowman just gonna zone them off with some rockets. The Coalescence maybe trying to work their way back on the point, keep everyone up, but really just crazy control right now from Revival. Dynasty uses the duplicate to have a primal rage with Fact Fiction doubling up with the Angry Monkeys. Just gonna be able to push everyone away at will here, and they're gonna just brute force their way to point number 1.
Yeah, brute force is a great way to put that ball in. There's no way that you can actually hold on to this if you are Kratos. They've turned a lot of crazy fights, but I mean, Ultima Web, I do not want to see him throw out the E. Okay, he translocates away. Good. It's not winnable this time around, Kratos.
We've seen their limits. We've seen their limits. That was definitely one of them.
And Kratos knows their limits, right? And they're not afraid to hold on to this EMP because now they have an easy win condition in this fight. Keep 6 feet away from track, make sure he doesn't get hacked, and Ultima Web lands a good EMP. That's all Kratos needs.
Rally,
Rally makes that difficult. Rally does not get cleared. The armor persists through EMP, so this is tricky.
Yeah, using that rally super early. They never found quite the way in or the pick that they wanted, so they didn't give it the full pedal to the metal here. And now we're seeing the answer back. EMP gonna find several. The answering EMP from Ultima Web with a beat drop. And Revival sort of down in the cards now. Everyone's low, not out. Cratos just gonna continue to zone the back, and now they can push to really force a final fight and maybe force Revival not to have a touch.
Moser and Carrots going down there at the end of it. With your supports gone, only 10 seconds left. Even if you get to the objective, you're just, you know, stalling time, desperately trying to go for overtime. Fact Fiction should be able to touch here, I think. Yeah, he'll get the overtime triggered, but I mean, unless there's a miracle pick from this self-destruct somehow, there's nothing that's gonna come on here for Revival. Even NA player 100 going down isn't enough.
Yeah, not quite the miracle they need, but Revival will get a point there. But in that ultimate deciding fight, I mean, Ultima Web's EMP looked fantastic, and Cratos just got far more momentum off the back of that than any Revival did off their ultimates.
And you called it perfectly, honestly, Paul. Like, it's strange that it seems like Revival have moved Carrots onto the Brigida because they recognize what a threat Ultima Web is, right? They want to have the rally for the EMP, but they didn't necessarily, or I will say they struggled to find the opening they were looking for while they had the rally available, right? They weren't able to actually get onto the objective. They didn't apply enough pressure. And that's kind of the give and take, right? You're not running the Lucio, you're running the Brigida instead, right? So you don't have the way, or as easy of a way, I should say, to just rush onto the objective, even when you have the rally, right? You don't have that speed boost available. So Cratos, they just back up. They say, yeah, we'll wait rally out. You can have your armor for 15 or whatever seconds. We'll come back in with that EMP and that sound barrier to boot and clean it on up.
And they just looked really good there. Yeah, that stagnation was weird because we've seen Revival been fairly decisive, but maybe it just wasn't the look they wanted. But that ultimate kind of put them in like one fight territory versus if they had just gone straight in, they maybe still get that 2-for-1. So that was sort of unlucky for them.
Now they're going to be on the defense. The only way they win this map is with a hold here on point A. They can't obviously draw it, and we'll just go on to even more maps this series as it wipes it off the board, but Cratos, they're not going to be looking to do that. Fact Fiction gets some nice ult charge there. Kudos to him.
I mean, I did hear you say at the top you wanted this to find a way to go 7. You might get your wish if they have it their way here. We just need some cleave right now. Fact Fiction going all the way in. Default wasn't in a position to take him down. Playing that kind of aggressive, but does get a ton of cleave ultimate. Might get that primal rage fairly quickly here.
And the question is are Cratos going to go for that same setup that they went for last time? Ultimate was with their team, so no, they're just going to blow up Fact Fiction.
Yeah, this time the jump in doesn't pay off. They're just going to be able to move behind it. Carrots does take down default here. Now, crowd, we're going to see the movement from the tank start to push in. Dynasty step on this high ground, though, I think is a little bit too much. They don't have an answer for it, and they're kind of just going to have to wait and cover.
What great peel from Cowman there. You've been toting his praises all day long, and he saves Revival there so hard. Moser was caught, had no right to live, but the defense matrix is perfect.
Coalescence pops. They're just going to be able to hang under the bridge now with this sustain from it. Fact Fiction going to go with the Primal Rage in, try to beat around Cratos and split them off, and is able to do so. Calman going to find the kill on any player who was split off from that Primal Rage, so done so well, divide and conquer, and they do it so perfectly.
And Revival are set up to win this map now. They have so much available here. EMP, self-destruct, either one of those tools can keep Cratos at bay for such a long time. And with Dynasty being able to have the duplicate if he wants to grab the Reaper or the Sombra, grab another EMP or just pump in damage. This is a tricky fight for Cratos. They need 6 feet to get up to this sound barrier and avoid traps.
Oh, we're going to see those check marks turn into Qs real quickly. Couple of kills already off the back of Ultimates. Now Default still has the Death Blossom. Crowley and 6 feet going to be able to follow up, and with time to spare, I mean, they invest in that fight, but Revival just still has so many tools at their disposal. It's gonna be a really hard push.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cheap investment, right? You know, you spend $1, make 100 there. If you're
penny stocks here.
Yeah, exactly, right? you still got a ton to work with, and while 6 feet does have that sound barrier up, now it wasn't available for that EMP. You can use it for tempo, right? You can just go in with, well, I presume the Coalescence is that is a much cheaper ultimate, and then use the sound barrier to keep yourselves in there.
Beat dropped down, EMP followed up. We see Dynasty use his duplicate to look for an EMP of his own. They're just going to try to hack it the whole way through. 6 feet hack now, maybe going to be caught out. Fact Fiction with the kill. Revival just going to run them out, and you said it perfectly. Cratos just cannot get back in time.
They used the sound barrier first, and then Fix was the target. Revival, great work there. Recognizing that Fix was the only thing keeping Cratos on the objective. And once he's gone, once everybody's hacked, Revival have no problem grabbing that second map and putting themselves on match point here. That was the bounce back we needed to see from them.
Yeah, when they were down in the cards, we saw that stagnation before ultimately they put it away on the defense. And I kind of held the same concerns you did there, where it was like, we saw it from Revival. Do they find a way to put it together? And I mean, I still think this series is far from over. With Kratos set to, have to come back and win 2 more, I think they can do it just because of how evenly matched these teams are and how well they're both playing.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that I think the point A setup on attack was probably the most we've seen Kratos stumble a little bit this series. They very clearly had like preset plays that they wanted to go for and didn't quite work out against what Revival was running. Continuously, they were rotating up to that right-hand side, right? Trying to get that high ground position, but they weren't able to really ever make anything of it. Revival, after the first time when it failed, were ready for every single rotation to there afterwards. So good work from Revival to disrupt Kratos rather than the other way around, which is what we saw a lot on Junkertown and a lot on Kratos' defense. Revival, like I said, man, this series, this group can go any which way possible.
And I want to return to a really interesting thing you brought up that might be like fairly nuanced for viewers that might not like understand some of these one-on-ones even as well as these teams, and even for myself, because I thought this was really interesting. You mentioned the hack on the Carrots maybe being suboptimal.
Yeah.
Where would you have rather seen the hack, and what's the effect of hacking there and not on somebody else?
Sure. I mean, Ultima Web, I give them a little bit of criticism because I think throughout most of today and all of yesterday during their series against Last Hope, Ultima Web's hack priority was phenomenal, right? I'm not sure they've scrimmed against the Brigida as much. I have no idea what their scrims look like, if I'm being honest. This is the first Brigida I've seen brought out in the last 2 days as we head on to the Trials patch, which, reminder, is post-Roadhog nerfs, but pre-Ash nerfs. So if you're looking for what patch we're on, that gives you a little bit of a guideline. So I would have liked to have seen Ultima Web just stay on Cowman, stay on Fact Fiction, focus out the tanks, right? Because, if you can get rid of their peel, the backline, you can get to eventually, right? And admittedly, I understand the logic behind hacking the Brigida because it's much harder to focus the tanks down when the armor pack is up, right? Carrots, he has the potential to just chuck armor packs at his tanks, and there's not really a way that you can easily eliminate tanks while they're getting pocketed by a Brigida, right? So it's difficult to make work in general. So it's a tricky situation for Ultima Web and his hacks right now, if I'm being honest.
And I think one of the other things that I thought was interesting too, just the dynamic that we're seeing from Fact Fiction and Cowman as a tank duo, because we saw yesterday Kratos versus Last Hope. Kratos sort of just had their way on the front lines, and we kind of hinted at earlier. We think Kratos just was a superior team in that matchup, but now with such an evenly matched game, the experience of a Fact Fiction with his obvious prowess, the games he has played with someone that I think might be one of the best tanks, if not the best tank in T2, honestly, and Cowman. It seems like that frontline difference is really starting to show itself more and more, and ultimately I think would be the deciding factor if Revival does pull this one off.
Yeah, and I'd maybe like to see Kratos try and opt back into the Reinhardt Zarya, right? Because I don't feel, well, I mean, don't get me wrong, Fact Fiction's Reinhardt is a sight to behold. I feel like Borkin, aka NA Player 100, as that is his tag when we are in the game, had a rougher time on the Winston matchup, I would say, right? I feel like his Reinhardt is much closer to Fact Fiction's, and Crawley is providing him enough when they are running the Reinhardt to where if there was a difference in skill, it is negligible between the two main tanks. I don't think the same could be said when it came to the at least Kratos' attacks when that Winston was coming out. I certainly don't think that Borkin had a bad Winston by any means. I thought his primals were pretty good. He was doing a good job of at least doing what he needed to on the primals, right? Separating off members, isolating the enemy team, making sure that Revival couldn't group as they wanted to. But I want to, as we head back onto Eichenwald, at least for first point, I'd like to see the Ryan. I want to see it for first point. That's a good question. Third point, if we make it to third point, I mean, everybody's going to the Reinhardt. That's not a question. Don't run the Winston.
And it looks like
I think if Kratos, it looks like they're going to be on the attack here first. I think I would like to see them at least try the Reinhardt.
Because it looked so good yesterday. I just think Kratos has such a strong Rein Zarya that even if there might be like a quote unquote better option, I don't know if it's the better one for them. Like, I think that's just what they rehearse so well and play. Like, I think they just love Borkin on it. Having gotten to see the team play a little bit more when I was involved with them, they just love how Borkin plays. And I think the players really kind of rally around how aggressive he can play at times. And we highlighted this even from Li Jiang, and even when they were winning parts of Anubis, when they're able to go hyper aggressive, they look really, really good. They look sort of unstoppable at times.
And it is worth noting that yesterday, we didn't see Kratos flex off the mirror matchup, the Reinhardt Zarya rush, that is, at all. Because, well, when Light, who was ringing at the time, came in for the interview, he said, if you beat them in the mirror, why would you run anything but the mirror if they're going to keep opting into it, right? So I don't think Revival are the team that if they lost out in a Reinhardt Zarya mirror are just going to keep running it and running it and running it and running it. I definitely think they have more looks, and they are giving Kratos a much larger challenge, right? So it's not just as simple as run the Reinhardt forehead, you're better at it. There is a lot of give and take, right?
And as we load in here to Eichenwald, keep in mind this is series point here for Revival. It's up 2-1. Kratos going to try to push us to a deciding map 5, and we're going to have their work cut out for them. Now, we do see Dynasty back on this Echo. We've seen that throughout the series, and it's looked really good so far.
Yeah, Dynasty, I mean, it's very interesting that he's running the Echo at all, but honestly, he's getting a lot of value out of it, right? And there's good duplicate targets in this meta, right? I mean, the Winston is a great one because you get that ult charge so quickly. The Sombra is great because you can get up to an EMP. The Reaper isn't half bad, right? We even saw Dynasty earlier on Li Jiang go for the Lucio duplicate just so he can get that sound barrier to keep his team in. So I think he's been doing a great job. And with this clock tower here, Dynasty has a great bit of cover to play around. So this is going to be tricky for Kratos.
Crowley was hacked, still able to take down Track there. And so now a little bit less punch here as they move forward in a 6-on-5. Kratos gonna just look to clean them up as they take over the high ground, but not quite able to put any significant damage on any hero.
I mean, they don't really need to, right? It's on Revival to actually get onto the objective right now, and there's no possible way that they can survive as long on the objective as Kratos. So at the very least, we're not getting a full hold here. I'm not sure what happened to Track there. I'm not sure if he got hacked by Ultima Web or if he just mistimed his translocator, but once your Sombra is down, you don't really have anything to worry about if you're Kratos, right? You don't have to worry about going in and then getting hacked and not being able to get away. So they're able to get that first fight pretty easily, have a Coalescence to just keep the tempo up, and they're immediately going to pop.
They're going to look to keep rolling. Dynasty is gone.
He just lasered Dynasty with his alien hands. Oh, my word. All right, and that's just Kratos keeping up the tempo. They're not letting anybody rest.
Diva Bomb going to fight too, though. That was cheeky from Cowman. A slow roller on top of the castle. And it will stop the push for now and give everyone a chance to reset and maybe stabilize here for Revival.
Yeah, and I think Kratos maybe got a little bit too antsy there. I don't think they had to push that hard up onto the high ground. Good work from Cowman, but ultimately Kratos, they could have waited. Now they're walking into the EMP. Throw out their own. I don't like that.
I don't either. EMP found 3. Wef tried to answer back with a turn. And maybe Kratos trying to go for a double or nothing, but finding nada this time.
Yeah, Kratos are in a rough spot right now. They're probably going to end up having to use Kry's self-destruct to just get back toward the cart, try and buy some space for their team to enter, and then once they actually establish themselves on the cart, they can try to force Revival to battle.
Yeah, the good news is they've got plenty of ultimates to work with. The bad news, Revival has some of their own. Crowley, Diva Bomb. Thanks to Cowman, he just stood through it. Must not have had boost. Gone, and now they're going to find some kills of their own to get cart rolling.
That was a bit of a yikes from both Diva players there. Crowley ends up self-destructing a remake. Shouldn't have caught anything, but Cowman thought he was safe behind the cart. I think like just a pixel was sticking out from the cart and caught by that self-destruct. So, you know, these Divas, they're very good. And that fight, I think they just, you know, you can't be the best Divas 100% of the time. They're going to restabilize. They're both great players here. Cratos still having a pretty rough entry here. They are systematically getting destroyed. I'd like to see them just back up, but no, it's Cratos. They're going to fight.
Yeah, they're taking this one even down in numbers. Fact Fiction going to lead the charge in for Revival. Fix's Coalescence going to just try to zone them back as the rest of the team coming back. Any player 100 trying to find something. Ultimate Web stunned up, but able to hang on. Cratos just looking for some kind of significant entry, but they just cannot find a pick.
It's just a ton of skirmishes right now. Let's see a hard team fight. Nano in. But again, nobody, I mean, Borkin goes down pretty late here. Cratos, they're just losing time right now. They don't really have the tools now that Ultimate Weapon has gone over to the Tracer to really just hard initiate a fight, right? They don't have EMP, let's go in. Hack, let's go in, right? They have to look for a pick on the periphery, and with Carrots on the Brigida, it gets a little bit tricky. And now walking into a near smorgasbord of ultimates from Revival, it's not getting any easier for Cratos.
No, you can't rely on a Coalescence down Dynasty every time. That's not going to work. EMP coming out here from Track. They have several more ultimates in their pocket if they want to invest them. As Cratos is sort of jammed up in the staircase here, they're pushing hard a little bit, though. So Revival at some point are going to have to look for a turn on that. Everyone's still alive. There's finally a pick from any player 106 feet gone. Now we're seeing all the ultimates begin to be invested. And watch out, Cowman does have that Diva Bomb. He can set them up on the bridge.
There's the self-destruct coming in from Kali instead. Oh, nice. Oh, it doesn't quite catch Dynasty there, actually. I thought it was going to actually exit him from the duplicate, but regardless, he's not able to get that primal off. It's just a couple stallers now for Revival, and that fight was a little bit rough, but I love the rotation there from Cratos. You know, they survived the EMP, which was the biggest difficulty, right? And they were able to get up onto the castle. They flipped the map on Revival, and from there it was pretty difficult for Revival to actually retake. Now on to third point, we're gonna see Borkin and Fact Fiction both go over to the Reinhardts. Ultima Web taking a page out of Track's book, actually pulling out that jump grab.
Chase silly time on the back end of this map here. And so no ultimates available. Probably looking for a dry run, see what they can get, if anything. You see Cowman's Diva Bomb come out, no avail. It's gonna just hang tight and see if they can find anything, but no leverage yet from Revival.
6 feet has a sound barrier. Track's not at the EMP yet. You can use this to engage.
Trying to look for something. Track close to that EMP like you mentioned. They do have that beat drop too. Maybe Cratos look to use that as the go button. I think they wanted something off that ante, but Fact Fiction, of course, blocking it out. There's a nano, though. They're going to start rolling forward, put to sleep. Cratos going to lose one, and I think they're just going to, again, continue to just posture and maybe pull back.
Yeah, Cratos play it safe there. They're not sure whether or not Track has the EMP, so they don't want to just throw out the sound barrier and have it get immediately wiped away. They would rather use it to counter the EMP, which I don't think is a wrong call, but it does make it a lot slower for you to push in. And as we move down to 1 minute and 20 seconds left on the clock, they need something to actually enter. Nano, Tire, both available.
We'll see which they pop first. There's that Tire. Gonna try to look for a big pop. Hack coming in. Pinned it and take it down. Fact Fiction doing it all here. Staying alive through the barrages. Now Dynasty's Ryan gonna look to push in. Probably has that Diva Bomb hanging tight and try to get that up. And maybe with Ryan gone, they're gonna push forward. They do have a shatter of their own. And that's kind of sloppy here. Neither team able to find anything significant, but finally Kratos putting some chinks in the armor.
I wouldn't call it sloppy. I would call it slow going. Revival are holding on to every inch, tooth and nail. It was expensive for Cratos to get in, but they have the Earth Shredder at the ready. Mind games between Borkin and Fact Fiction. Fact Fiction, he's done with this with some of the best tanks in the world.
He's showing his prowess here. The shield battle continuing as we're at the 4-meter mark. Diva Bomb out. Able to find Ultimate Web. But they take that track for a Shadow. Gonna find a bunch. And the Shadow continues. They have 2. They had a Reinhardt available. Oh, but 6 feet. Oh, they're able to find so many kills. Cratos and for something, Cowman able to remech Dynasty so low. The long distance shot from default. Trying to look for Sombra down. Track hanging alive. And will they just have enough? The stall is going to start off with that spawn event. This is going to be so difficult.
Borkin, he's trying so hard, but he needs help. Somebody help this man. All right. There are players back. Nano's on to Borkin now. They can clean this up, Cratos.
And they might just be able to do it. They pull it over in overtime. And Cratos, never thought we'd be saying this phrase. Cratos slow and steady to the finish line.
I was not thinking that Cratos were going to do that. I'll be real with you, Paul.
I was scared for them.
Once we got to that final point, Fact Fiction, his Reinhardt mind game is unbreakable at this level, right? Throws down a beautiful Earth Shatter that was set up for him by Cowman's self-destruct because Borkin gets zoned off into a corner where he doesn't want his shield to break, and the rest of Cratos were pretty much free pickings for Fact Fiction. And then he immediately throws his shield back up, knows that Borkin wants to answer back, knows NA Player 100 is going for that Earth Shatter. Blocks it perfectly, and then the Nano actually missed from Moser. But I think it was supposed to go on to Fact Fiction, but it goes on to Baby Diva instead. And even that almost kept Revival in because it allowed Cowman to survive long enough with that damage reduction to get his mech back, but not quite enough. At least you forced it to overtime, Revival. So ultimately, still a pretty decent hold, but now you got to get all the way through the map at the very least.
The onus is on them. They could put this series away if they're able to get 3 here and ultimately finish the map. But Cratos, looking really strong there on that push. They can make it a map 5 match. And we're going to see pretty much the same team Revival has been running for a while here, opting for that Brigida once again.
And Ultima Web still on that Tracer. It's decided that the hack priority is just too difficult to find now that the Brigida is on the field, and instead move over to the Tracer, looking for the picks. Just going to apply a bit more pressure to the tanks as well. Tracer just puts out more DPS in general, if I'm not mistaken. And that Pulse Bomb is a good way to get through those armor packs, right? You can't overheal the armor pack. You can't save someone if they get stuck.
Cratos able to maneuver up onto the high ground, find a couple kills. We see Track trying to find something on the back line, but the rest of the team decimated. Cratos will clean up here and take a minute off the clock, basically, for Revival.
Pulse Bomb already at the ready. Nano coming up for Moser, but not quite available yet. And we've still got some picks coming off. This is just a free minute that Cratos have been allotted. And once Revival actually push in, Fix is going to have that Coalescence to keep Cratos up tempo, right? And keep in mind, they're running that rush again. They want to just brawl. They want to be in the face of Revival here. But when Fact Fiction gets this Nano, that can get a little dicey.
Post Bomb out, not able to find anybody. Coalescence to answer back. We see that Nano go on to Fact Fiction, but he's just going to get destroyed immediately. Cratos have the answer for it. They'll give up a tick, but they won't give up anything further.
Great work from Ultima Web. Takes out Moser, and Carrots, yeah, Brigida pumps out a lot of healing rather, but it's not very consistent. So Fact Fiction, even with that damage reduction, isn't able to stay alive. Now the EMP's out. Revival got to make this work.
EMP found 4, and without a shield moving in, it's going to be much easier here for Revival. We see the Post Bomb already from Dynasty. He did use one of the duplicate, and that will be just enough.
Not a bad push for Revival whatsoever. They're going to have 4.5 minutes to get through this phase of Eichenwald. And already they've actually moved forward and taken control of the high ground. This is great. Now, as long as they don't overstay their welcome here, Cratos are going to have to give up a lot of space. They're going to take a lot of damage on this entry, especially considering they're still on this Reinhardt. They just go all the way around, trying to actually play underneath those Dynasty doesn't have the right angle.
Yeah, they're making their way right to cart. We see how many ultimates they have available here. Fact Fiction gonna be the first one gone. No real big ults here at the disposal of Revival. They're all anti the ultimate weapon, able to find a kill on the Cowman. And Cratos just gonna continue to occupy this cart and make Revival come to them.
Oh, Moser almost pulled that back for his team, but a Coalescence keeps Cratos on the point. Now the duplicate is out, though. Revival, they're going to get aggressive. How expensive is this fight going to be? Not expensive. Okay, so you're going to get a bit of a reset here. They don't want to contend with that Pulse Bomb. It's going to stick Crowy, but he's fine. Dynasty actually gets caught here, so this is actually getting a bit dicey for Revival.
Yeah, they might have gone a little bit too far. At least now they're starting to trade back. They're getting the spawn advantage coming through. EMP gonna find several here, and that's just a cleanup job.
This series is chaos, man. These teams never stop fighting. I can't believe we have a breath of fresh air right now. All right, let's take that breath. Look at this next fight. Self-destruct available for Crowy. Ultimo is already gone, though. So that's just more time, more payload progress for Revival. They actually are going to have a primal and a self-destruct of their own here. So great zoning tools, great tools to keep Cratos at bay as they try to push in and stall this cart.
Just able to sit back and kind of poke away here. We see Cratos does have a couple of ultimates available. We'll see how heavily they want to invest. Without Ultima Weapon, they might just have to start thinking about it, or they're liable to give up at this whole point. Now, Fact Fiction trying to apply some pressure. A player 100 is so low, trying to hang on after the anti won't be able to. As Cowman's looking to take this thing over, and they're just pushing Cratos around.
Self-destruct out though. Cratos, they don't have enough power. They don't have enough members to actually stick onto this objective. If they want to hold, they need a pick, and with the Pulse Bomb whip thing, that's not gonna happen. It's just going to be a matter of time before Revival get onto this third point. They can look to cap with time, too. The tanks are going to go back, swap up to different heroes as we move into third point here. NA player 100, I think he's going to stay on this while he has this primal. I don't know if that's the right call.
Yeah, we're going to have to see. We see Ultima Weapon making a swap back to the Sombra, maybe trying to find a little bit more value. Wasn't landing much with on the Tracer. Taking a very early fight now is Cratos. We see the duplicate come out. Dynasty gonna just immediately steal away that Sombra. They're gonna have double EMP potential once again if they want it. They're able to find 3 with the first one. Track can keep his in the back pocket. Oh, and that's gonna be huge. They're gonna be EMP again for this next fight.
It's devastating for Cratos, the fact that they don't actually pull out Track's EMP here. I mean, they should be done. All intents and purposes, there's no way Cratos holds this, unless 6 feet gets a miracle sound barrier here. But Track should be looking for that Lucio with this EMP.
He's got to be licking his lips. You can see the whole team right above him here. He's hacked up, though. Ultima Web able to find the hack on him. Default can't find anybody with that Death Blast. So there's the massive hack. They're all caught in the EMP. They can just push them into the corner here. They're just going to try to touch. Not able to. This Graviton not going to take care of anybody really there. Just clean up work from Cowman. And they're going to just have to contend with this stall, but they should have more than enough force.
NA player 100 Borkin, he's trying to just stay on the cart by as much time as possible. If somehow you can hold for another minute, Cratos, you'll get time yourselves, but Earth Shatter's down.
Fact Fiction looking for the pin, still not enough. Hammond's just so beefy. Cowman taken down though with that spawn advantage. Every little pick like that is gonna matter so much. Both tanks are gone. NA player 100 turning the fight. He finds the ground pound. They've got them headed for the hills. Paul Cratos holding them off.
Cratos have no right to win that fight, man. They have no right to come back there.
They have no
Revival,
business doing that.
They just couldn't put down the stragglers, man. They weren't able to one by one deal with the respawn. They are really close, and now NA player 100 Crowy, they're swapping over to the Rhine Zarya. That's a strong front line. Dynasty's gonna have to make something happen here with this duplicate. You gotta wait out the ante. Carrots, if you can get up to the rally, that should be a good opening for Revival. They should be able to brute force their way through as long as Default doesn't get anything with the Pulse Bomb.
The longer they wait, though, the more they're making this a one-fight instead of two-fight game, potentially. Cowman was taken down during the wait, and Cratos see their opening. They're just going to clean up shop here. They do lose Ana in the meantime, but they're just able to wipe the board. Oh, this is devastating.
Dynasty going down there, too. That's more time off the clock. There is no way you cap this with time anymore if you are Revival. One hold is what separates us from a guaranteed map 5. Cratos, default still has the pulse bomb. 6 feet. His sound barriers have been very good today, and with the nano probably going on the NA player 100 here, this is a rough front line for Revival to break through. They have tools coming up. Where does the value land? It all comes down to ultimate.
Default was hanging on this side. Even the way of the post bomb, Karen's down. Back Victor gonna try to look for something on cart. Revival just trying to hang on. Now any player 100 is down. They do not have a shield available as they're gonna have to contend with his Earth Shatter here in a second. But Fix keeps everyone alive through everything. Graviton is available for Cowman. Looking for something he's taking. Oh, he can't finish them off. Crowley takes them down. Cratos has 4 here with the spawn advantage. They are going to be able to push this to map number 5.
I thought they were done. You thought they were done, Paul. But Cratos are not done. They get us that final tiebreaker map. They hold the line. Oh, man. Woo! It is tooth and nail. It is scrappy as it gets here, Paul. This is insane Overwatch that we are viewing right now. And I got to give credit to the supports of Cratos. I got to give credit to 6 feet and Fix, right? Because so many of these fights are so difficult. Revival have so many tools available. In that last fight, they had Duplicate. They had Rally. They had Nano, Earth Shatter, Graviton, all these things coming up. But Cratos don't bend. They don't break because their supports are able to keep them up. And Default with that stick, shutting down the Rally. Oh boy, oh man, we're going to Nepal. I have no idea how this is gonna play out, Paul. I'm gonna be real. Wait. Possible? Paul, we're going to Nepal.
Let's go. There it is. Sticker.
It's all in the script, folks. This has been written since minute 1 that we were going to map 5 today.
Well, just when we thought it was impossible, able to bring this one to a map 5. We're going to take a short break with the players, and then we'll be back with the deciding game. You don't want to miss it. We'll see you there.
They lay down the shatter, let the bodies hit the floor. Uprising Academy at 95%.
Right now with Hydra building up to this Bear Barrage so quickly.
Oh!
And asking!
Double kill in the back with the pulse bomb from the high ground. Aerial assault with that mine.
Impact se escucha debajo gritar campeón a Sky Foxes.
Holy cow.
And after 42 consecutive losses, the Shanghai Dragons get their first win.
8 teams enter this weekend.
Oh no, Reinhardt, what are you doing?
We got a clip with minimal information. It's time to break it down. Speed, 25%. Go. Figure out what this man's SR is.
Keep fighting till it's for sure lost.
Winnable!
Welcome back, everybody. Overwatch Contenders Trials North America Day 2. We're about to enter map number 5 here between Cratos and Revival. I'm Paul with Polishable once again here. Polishable, my dude, this is insane.
Ooh, this is what it all comes down to. This is what Trials is about. We get our first, well, it's not our first map 5, but it is our first tiebreaker map, right, of this week of Trials, right? And I want to take a step back as we head into Nepal, and I want to set the stakes here for both these teams, because keep in mind, Cratos, right? This is a team that didn't make it to Contenders last month. That was so close to making it in their group, but just fell a little bit short. And when they made it to Contenders a couple months ago, they got 2-0'd and then 2-0'd. They got slapped out of the group. So if they could take a win against an opponent as strong as Revival and put themselves so close to getting into Contender, or just securing Contenders for this week, they would only need one more win to make it an actuality. That would mean so much for this team. And Revival, the stakes are equally high, if not higher. Remember, this is the roster, this is the coaching staff that was slept on, right? The winners of the July Contenders tournament. And then they come into Contenders this month, they get 2-0 slapped twice, right? So for both these teams, getting back to Contenders, being able to prove themselves in Contenders actual here in North America, that's what Trials is all about, baby.
And with the absence of Doge, since they're not participating in this group now with the forfeiture of the spot, I mean, yeah, the door is wide open. And the thing to think about too, like, so Cratos beat Last Hope, and you know, we thought Cratos was a superior team, and we'd probably think Revival would beat Last Hope, but that's not a given. There's no givens here in Trials. Like, Cratos at least know they're 1-0. If they get this, they go to 2-0 and really shore up. But Revival, if you fall to 0-1 here and have to try to go through the rest of the week finding yourselves out of this hole, that's just such a difficult spot to be in.
Yeah, I mean, if on paper, right?
On
rarely
paper
goes how on paper it should. If on paper Revival lost this match, right, they would have to beat everybody else to get into Contenders, right? And they would have to probably hope that Cratos went undefeated this week, so that Revival could grab the second spot uncontested, no problems there, right? So, and the other way, it's equally important that Cratos win this if we're just looking at the standings, because if they go 1-1, suddenly they have no chance to drop a match against Infamous or Susanoo, right? And those are both two strong teams in their own right. This group is absurdly close. We're gonna go on to Nepal now. We're starting off on Sanctum. It's anybody's game.
This is as good as it gets. Map number 5 here. Back and forth, quite literally. Revival won the first, and it's oscillated since. But it's all going to come down to this. And we're seeing Fact Fiction opt for the Wrecking Ball here, but Cratos sticking true to what they've gone through most of the day.
Cowman on the Zarya, though. This is a look we have not seen from teams in a while. The bubble going on to the ball when they try to engage, but Cratos, they're not waiting for the Wrecking Ball to engage. They're just pushing straight onto the map.
Cratos not waiting? Haven't heard that one before. They're going to just go right after track, take him down. Ultimate weapon back on the Tracer and looking pretty fly right now, looking to put a number on Cowman, and they're just going to manhandle first point and first cap.
Yeah, and if Cratos keeps these rotations up, I don't think this comp will work for Revival. Yeah, okay, they're already switching it up. They're just going to take the fight straight to Cratos at the front line. Fact Fiction now on a Reinhardt of his own. But keep in mind, there are differences in these comps. The Brigitte versus the Lucio, you got better rotations. If you are Cratos, you have more sustainability if you are Revival.
See, post bomb doing a number on Fact Fiction. Ultimately would take him down. Any player 100 with the clean up. Kratos just pushing forward, looking at spawn.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how many armor packs you got if Fact Fiction just pops like a zit there. Great work from Ultimate Web on this Tracer. Cheap ultimate to win this fight, but they've got a lot to contest with coming up. The EMP nearly ready. The Nano can just get thrown onto Fact Fiction soon. This is going to be a rough one for Kratos.
see that duplicate available here. Track and have EMP as well. So it's not like Revival won't have the tools at their disposal, and they're going to start hitting Q, pushing back NA player. Now we see them move towards point as they can try to just zone them off. Cratos just has to give up this room. They're not willing to invest back, and Revival should get the cap.
EMP not even necessary there for Revival. Great work from them. I love the double Reinhardt duplicate. Dynasty just poking his head out the door, so you have twice the cleave damage coming on in. They nanofact Fiction because he doesn't get a second life if he gets taken down, and then they just brute force their way on forward. Oh boy, this next fight's gonna be messy though. Cowman's got that grab. You can just throw it against the wall when they come in, but Crawley could eat this. Gotta be careful.
Graviton was used immediately. Now Ultimate Lab takes down Dynasty. Gonna get rid of some of that off-angle potential that they have. Cratos not afraid to step up here, and keep in mind default really close to that Death Blossom. If he can look for a good angle and just jump onto the tanks, he's certainly going to.
Kratos give up a lot of ground here. I thought they were going to try and pressure out the tanks with the threat of 6 feet up on that wall, throwing them off, but now they're going for this long rotation around the side. Once again, trying to get on the back line. EMP hits them, but the sound barrier keeps them up.
Back Fiction and Shatter didn't find anybody, and they just step off point. Now we're seeing NA player 100 Shatter able to land, and they're just going to try to zone them off. Now the Zarya with the Nano going to try to put in work. Shield's got some health left in it. They're just going to drive them underneath. Able to take down the shield. It might just be a blast through the rest of them, but Kratos is going to be on the brink of taking first point when Revival ultimately gets it.
Inches are worth miles right now, Paul. Yeah, Revival, they ultimately come on back, but like you said, it's 99%. All Kratos have to do is wait them out, make this next fight expensive, right? Get the grab, get the duplicate, get the rally out. If you can get rid of those ultimates and not feed over too much ult charge, you can come back in with ults of your own and clean this up. Revival, the name of the game is discipline. How cheap can you make this fight?
They've got 2 ults. They'd love to get away with just using one of them if they can. Now we're seeing the full rotation here from Kratos around the point, trying to find the opening they want. Watching the ultimate weapon, gonna try to look for that post bomb, not able to land it on the Fact Fiction. They're trying to just ball them up, take them down. 6 feet's the first one to go though. Kratos has to be careful though. If they're taken down, they might not get another look at point. They're gonna back off. This is gonna be oh so close, and with default down, this is not looking good here, Paul.
Revival, I think they figured it out. I think they figured out how to kite Kratos here. So many rotations from Kratos. They spend so much time trying to find the squishy members rather than just brute forcing the front line. But Revival kite them out that time around. Still a grab, still a shatter, still an EMP available. Revival, they can shut this down. It should be their fight.
Default on the Widow now. So maybe they're going to try to look for a pick in the back end, but Cowman says, no, not on my point. Track with a kill on the follow-up. And Revival on the brink of taking point number 1. And they're going to just do that. And the return is something you said, Paul. That kiting. It's like a ball and just ole. And they move out of the way. And Kratos just couldn't put an answer on them.
Score 1.
Oh, man. I thought there was a window there for Kratos.
there really was.
Track only hit one person with the EMP, man. He only hit Cry. I was worried. I was ready to start pulling out my hair, but no, it's okay. EMP might not have been optimal, but the shatter, the grab, still more than enough there. And Kratos, they just didn't have the ult economy to come back. But now, obviously, as we head to a new round, there's no ultimates, right? So it's all down to execution. Once again, as we head to a claustrophobic point, Track, he's going back to it, the callback way back from control center, the J Silly hitting the field yet again.
Pretty interesting here. Now, Dynasty, it looks like will stay on that Symmetra. Default used it for the boost, but not ultimately on the point. So 2 very different ideas going to play themselves out here.
This is very dicey for Kratos, right? Track is just going to chill up on this high ground. If nobody goes up to contest him, this is so much damage, so much poke, and a quick tire potentially too. And Kratos, they don't even take control of the objective here. Track will go down, so now they can come back with the man advantage.
And Dynasty's absolutely charged up. They've got to do something about it. He's just going to laser through them. They're just letting him have his way. This man is fed. they're finally going to turn, but first caps for Revival.
If they can get Fact Fiction here, they can still look to make it happen. NA player, you okay, buddy? I'm not sure what that pin was. I'm going to be real. This flip isn't going to happen anymore, especially now that all of Revival is back.
Yeah, not the finest moment here, really, for either team. We've seen some sort of sloppy play that's been pretty uncharacteristic so far. You mentioned the track EMP, a little wayward, a pin, a little sideways. Both teams.
Not 5 nerves, man. You got to shake it off.
Yeah, this is tough. It's all down to this, and the pressure seems like it's putting a number on them now. A lot of ultimates coming out. Coalescences aplenty. Rip Tire up. Trying to find a pick. Finds Fix on the Coalescence. Now, Cratos does have a bunch of ultimates, but they're just going to try to back off. They know it with Revival already at 40%. They're running out of chances.
Fix was the ideal target there for Track. Great work for him to just serpentine his tire all the way through the enemy team. And now we're getting to a point where Cratos, they have to make something happen. The tools are there. Earth Shadow Grab, Sound Barrier, all available. And reminder, there's no Sombra, no EMP. 6 feet, he can chuck this out whenever he feels like his team needs it.
Ultimate Web did swap to Echo here. So another different design. Let's see what the pattern plays itself out to be. Probably going to look to move in. There's that Shatter, able to find a few, but they don't have a ton of follow-up here. Grab going to just go into the Symmetra ultimate here. Not a ton of follow-up there either, just track. The J Silly is too much. The Symmetra, unstoppable. Revival putting this one away.
Revival, man, with that Sim Barrier, saved them so hard there in the grab. Yeah, I mean, Cryo was still able to get damage on that side, but anybody on the other side of the grab couldn't do anything. And with the damage constantly being pumped out, there was no way you could aggress onto that. It might be 100-99 to finish this off. Sound Barrier for tempo, but you gotta get a pick.
They're trying to get on. 6 feet just being decked by those turrets on point. Big finds a kill. Crowley just trying to hang in there, but they just have too much. Earth Shatter, Track, it just does so much damage, and Revival is going to be able to take the series.
Victory.
Pretty damn close, if I do say so myself here, Paul. But Revival ultimately lock it up. Fact Fiction in the front line, Cowman 7-11 to go alongside him. I feel that on that last round, they come for the first time in this series comfortably had the tank battle in their hands, right? I felt NA player 100, aka Borkin, made some questionable decisions in that last round. He went for some strange pins, some flank shatters even on the end of it. And while I gotta commend him for the effort, it doesn't end up working out. Whereas the play from Fact Fiction and Cowman was just clean. It was clinical, right? They were never throwing out shatters that they knew wouldn't work, grabs that didn't catch the enemy team off guard. It was beautiful work from the tank line of Revival, and they clutch it up.
Yeah, when the pressure was at its highest, Revival showed up. Now, we're going to cut to a short break, and then we're going to be back with an interview with a player from the winning team, Fact Fiction. You won't want to miss that. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to the desk here. I'm Paul, joined by Paul as we wrap up the day here from this win of Revival against Cratos. We've had with us Mr. Fact Fiction. So, one, thank you so much for joining us, and congrats on the win today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And so, I want to dive right into some of the meat and potatoes of this. So, this series, back and forth the entire way. After that loss on Eichenwald, where things just like the last part of it seemed kind of like all over the place. Both teams were really just throwing out everything. What sort of things happened in the comms and behind the scenes during the break that set you guys up for such a strong win at the end?
Well, pretty much we just sort of discussed what went wrong and figured out what we needed to do for the next map, because we knew the next map was coming up in Nepal and it's map 5. And so we were just like, we've been playing Echo this whole series. What if we don't? They're not going to be ready for it. And it looks like they weren't.
Sure. And I mean, you're no stranger to the pressure, right? Mr. Ex Overwatch League tank himself, Fact Fiction. Now, I got a kind of a question for Revival as a whole here. Now, normally you're the one of the 2 coaches here on this roster. Are we expecting to see some more of you this week, or is this a stand-in for the first day? Is this Fact Fiction's triumphant return to the main tank role, or is this just you filling in while you find the right fit for your team?
It's mostly the last one.
Okay.
Okay.
We had our previous main tank. We parted ways with him mutually.
Sure.
It was all fine. And we knew that we didn't really have that much time to find a replacement for him in such a short time. So Gods approached me and just said, "Hey, do you mind playing trials this upcoming week?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So it's been like quite an adaptation going back to playing from coaching. Like, considering like I mostly haven't played that much ranked or anything like that in the past few
Right.
months. It's my retirement. So, but I feel like I shook the rust off pretty quickly, and it feels like I've integrated really well with the team. We have a really nice energy, and I'm very happy to be a part of it.
And I think you hit the nail on the head with something that I think Paul and I both felt throughout the cast was the energy that you guys bring in the fights and the way you play together. And one of the things that we talked about a ton was how smart your ult usage was. Can you lead me through sort of who's in charge of your ult comms, if it's you or one of the other players, and sort of how you guys got to this point to kind of nail that perfectly?
So, right now, I'm doing a lot of the ult plans, but Carrots and Dynasty and also Track are contributing very heavily to them as well. We all sort of contribute a little bit, but at the end of the day, just because of how I've played in the past, I'm sort of the final call. I'm
Sure.
the most experience,
Mhm.
and I feel like it's done quite well for our team. And I feel like all of my players have learned a lot over this past few days in regards to like ult plans and taking fights well. And I'm really, really glad to see it as both a coach and a player.
Sure. I mean, I think you guys looked very strong today. And moving on to the rest of trials, moving on to the rest of your group right now, it's no secret that I'm probably Team Doge not being in this group anymore. Probably a little bit of the weight off everybody in this group's shoulders, right? Nobody has to worry about them. But now that you've taken out Kratos, you still have 3 other teams to contend with. Is there anybody you have your eye on? Anybody you're especially prepping for? Or is it just business as usual for Revival?
We're not especially prepping for anyone, but I feel like what we've been running is pretty strong against what the rest of the field has shown in our group.
Sure.
There's a lot of Ryan Zarya, and it seems like not many people have an answer to the Echo right now. So we're not particularly worried about anybody else in the group. We're just gonna keep our heads down, play our matches, and see what happens.
And we'll get you out of here on this question here, Fact Fiction. I mean, we're kind of thinking ahead here, but if you do ultimately make it through this week and ultimately to Contenders proper, can we potentially see a return from you to stay with the team and continue playing with them through Contenders, or is that something that you're kind of putting out of your mind and waiting to not count your chickens before they hatch?
That's actually a pretty funny question because one of my teammates actually asked me that a couple days ago, and I'm just gonna tell you what I told him. It's like a really complicated decision, and it'll have to be discussed between me and Gods. And so I don't really have a good answer for you, to be honest. I've enjoyed playing, but there's a question is whether there's a better fit for the team or whether I even want to continue playing. So there's just a lot that goes into it, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Is the end answer?
Yeah, and fair enough. Assuming if you guys are able to make that push, get to contenders, you'll have plenty of time too before the actual week of contenders starts for October. So no need to rush into that. I was excited to see you back behind the wheel of that Reinhardt today, but there's a lot to consider for it. But thank you so much, man. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you for having me. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Baguette.
Oh, go for it.
He's been our manager on Slept On, and coming into it with us on Revival, we could not do what we do without Baguette. So thank you, Baguette.
Awesome. Thank you, Baguette. And thank you, Fact Fiction, for joining us. Congrats again on the win today. And just really awesome stuff. And as we close out the broadcast here, I got to ask you, possible final thoughts as we look at the rest of this week. I mean, Revival looked great. Kratos also looked fantastic. I think there's a real shot we see both of these teams coming out of this group, don't you think?
This group is so spicy, man. Don't ask me that. It was hard enough to do predictions for this day. There's so much Overwatch left to be played. I mean, people are just going to have to tune in and see.
Yeah, definitely. And so we will be back here again tomorrow and throughout the rest of the week. I believe the times for the rest of the week will be 6 p.m. Eastern. Obviously, we will continue to post those times on Twitter. I want to say thank you to everyone in the background here. Thank you to Uni and Dire Boyd for their great work producing and observing, respectively. This was such a fun cast. The Paul and Paul, it finally happened, and it was a blast to do it. So thank you again, and have a great night.